What I'm going to teach you today is going to be something that you can apply to any situation you're ever in to draw anything in a better way than you would have been able to draw it without it. It's a big promise, I know, but I'm going to deliver. Just keep watching. Here we go. So no matter what you're drawing, you're always going to start off with sort of a skeleton of basic shapes. They might be organic shapes, meaning like they don't have to be a triangle or a rectangle. It might be a blob that you see when you look out at those bushes in your backyard or whatever you're trying to draw. But you take your time, you create sort of the contour outline very simply, and it's a really good way to check and make sure that everything is the right size in comparison to everything else. Like if you're drawing a bowl of fruit, you don't want to notice, oh, hey, I made the apple like 3 times bigger than everything else when the pear is actually a little bit taller than the apple, but I drew it shorter. You can fix those things very early in your drawing. So you're going to lay out a skeleton of basic shapes just like this. You're going to need to practice until you get that right, and that's all you can do is just practice until you get it right.
We're talking about practice, man.
So now the next part is when the real art starts to begin. So you got your outline, you're feeling good about it. You might be a little afraid that you're going to ruin it.
Don't get scared.
You're going to do a lot of these if you want to become better at art, so just get used to it. That was step 1. We're moving on. And now we're going to take a look at our subject, decide where is the light coming from, where is the shadow falling, and we're going to start laying those things out. Lightest areas, our medium areas, and our darkest areas. This doesn't have to be the exact perfect shape of the shadow yet, but you want to at least figure out like where is the light coming from? It's going to be lightest towards that. And then how are the shadows falling on this particular thing that I am looking at? That's the key to everything that we're doing, is we're trying to look at something and draw the real thing that's in front of us, rather than learning a formula for how to draw a pear. Sit a pear down, let the light hit it, figure out where the shadow is falling. I promise that your drawing will look better in the end, and it will help you become a better artist in the long run. When you block in those shadows, you're going to start noticing light and shadows wraps around the forms of things. Pay attention to that. If something's round, you're not going to draw a straight line for where the dark goes. It's going to wrap around the forms of everything else. That's what happens in real life, and that's what we want to learn how to do, is draw the things that we're really seeing in real life. The next thing I suggest you doing is either rolling up a piece of paper, using your finger if you don't mind getting it dirty, or you can actually buy something called a blending stump. That's what I like to use. And you're going to try now to push around those different lights and darks that you created, so there aren't hard lines in between the dark and the medium and the light. You want to sort of smooth out those edges, and you want to use this time to really look at your subject and pay attention to the exact shape that's being created by the darkest part, by the medium part, by the light part. Use that blending stump to push everything to exactly where it needs to be. So the last thing that you're going to do in your drawing is you're going to go in. You're going to find any places where you need to add tiny little details. Maybe you lost them when you were blending everything. And you're also going to take an eraser, or sometimes I'll take a tiny little brush with some white paint on it, and I will paint in my highlights, the lightest parts. You can do it with an eraser, or you can do it with a paintbrush with white paint on it. Either way, it's going to really sort of bring that last little bit of light. So look at your object, figure out where is it the lightest, and hit those spots with your eraser, and it will really make it pop. Now comes the hard part. Do that 100 million times. It's fine if you want to use tutorials, step-by-step drawing things to practice, you know, because over the course of that, you're practicing shapes, you're practicing different lines, you're coloring things in. But if you really want to get better at drawing, just get used to sitting random stuff up and drawing it. Stick with it, and you got this. I got stacks and stacks of sketchbooks of mediocre to bad drawings, because only every so often does it turn out great. I still consider myself to be practicing at art to this day. I'm certainly not a master. Let's all practice together, and let's all get better. And like and subscribe for the love of God.